In 2008, Bhutanese refugees began to be resettled in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and in cities across the USA. The U.S. was one of 7 countries working with the UN to place over 120,000 Bhutanese that had been living in refugee camps in Nepal for the past 18-plus years. Who are these people, and what has brought them to our cities? Most Bhutanese refugees are from southern Bhutan, a small country located between India and China. They speak Nepali, but many of the youth have had an opportunity to study British English. Their religion is primarily Hindu, but some are Buddhist and Christian. In the 1980s, the government of Bhutan began to view these southern Bhutanese, originally of Nepali descent and practicing Hinduism, as a threat to their political order. After 1989, the southern Bhutanese began to flee their country upon having their citizenship revoked by the Bhutanese government. Bhutanese security forces committed acts of torture, killings, rapes, plunder, and burning of homes. Over 134,000 Bhutanese citizens, close to 20% of Bhutan's population, were ousted from their home country. By 1992, they fled to Nepal in amounts of up to 600 per day, leaving behind their land, homes, businesses, and jobs. Eventually, the Nepali government allowed the UN to set up 7 camps where the refugees lived in low-cost, temporary shelters made from bamboo with dirt floors and no electricity or running water. The Nepali government prohibited the Bhutanese refugees from participating in economic activities outside the camp, or from obtaining citizenship. They did allow them to have schools, enabling many of the youth to get a high school education. Some were even able to commute to colleges and universities for advanced degrees, though this was very difficult due to the cost. In 2008, Nepal decided to close the camps, telling over 125,000 Bhutanese that they had to leave. After the UN tried unsuccessfully to get Bhutan to allow them to return, they worked with other countries to accept them. Australia, Canada, Norway, Denmark, and other countries agreed to help resettle them over a period of about 5 years. The U.S. agreed to take 60,000 and place them in cities all across the lower 48 states. Over 1,000 have already been resettled in DFW. More are coming, many to join family members already here. The U.S. government works with local resettlement organizations such as Catholic Charities and World Relief to help place the refugees in apartments, help obtain health care, and assist with cultural training. They help them try and find work within the 180 days, which is the U.S. government's deadline for self-sufficiency. Many have been finding work by the deadline, but this has been very difficult in the economic downturn, especially those that are older and lack English skills. The nation's recession has hindered efforts to help refugees trying to start anew in the U.S. The goal of these people fleeing persecution in their homelands is not only to be free, but also to become self-sufficient through employment. They did not come looking to be on welfare, and want a job to provide for their families, just like they did in Bhutan. A job is where they find their dignity and self-respect. The Bhutanese began to arrive at DFW Airport with one piece of luggage, the clothes on their back, and a dream of a better life in the U.S., hoping to work and prosper. Through the amazing providence of God, the Bhutanese in Fort Worth's Alta Mesa Church of Christ connected. One day, Dr. Billy Eaton, an elder at Alta Mesa Church, saw several Bhutanese walking beside the road. He stopped, visited with them, and took them to Neighborhood Needs, Alta Mesa Church's food and clothing ministry. About the same time, Salvador Carriaga, Alta Mesa Church's Philippine missionary in the States with his family, met several Bhutanese and befriended them. He ended up having many receive assistance from Neighborhood Needs and going to the airport to meet new arrivals. From this beginning, more Alta Mesa Church members began meeting, helping, and working with Bhutanese families to get their start in America and learn about the living God and His Son. Over 500 Bhutanese have passed through Neighborhood Needs and received basic household items, clothing, and food. In 2009, as many as 70 to 80 were attending Alta Mesa Church Sunday morning worship assembly. Multiple Bible studies were being held in various area apartment complexes. But the volunteers prayed for a Bhutanese Christian leader that could translate, teach, and minister to the refugee community. In July 2009, that prayer was answered when the Tonka Darji family relocated to Fort Worth. Tonka, age 29, and his wife Krishna and children Anisha and Anush arrived with a heart and a passion for preaching and ministry, having put himself through a Bible college in India, running the train 5 hours from camp to get to his classes. Krishna worked as a school teacher for 80 cents a week to help pay for Tonka's schooling. So what's next? What would God have us do to take maximum advantage of this amazing mission opportunity where He has moved an ethnic group halfway around the world and put them in our neighborhoods, at our doorstep? There are so many passages in the Old Testament where God instructs His people to welcome and help the stranger in their midst. But there is no plainer teaching than that of Jesus in Matthew 25, where the righteous on Judgment Day are condemned for welcoming the stranger and giving food and water and clothing. Verse 40 says, "Whatever you did for one of these least brothers of mine, you did for me." Most, if not all, the Bhutanese that are resettled need some help getting on their feet. Working alongside the resettlement agencies, Alta Mesa Church's neighborhood needs and others help with the immediate physical needs. In addition to this much-needed and greatly appreciated initial help, there is a desire by Christians to maintain contact and minister beyond just the physical. Take a longer-range view. Alta Mesa Church's leadership envisioned establishing a Bhutanese Nepali language church plant in Fort Worth, and possibly in other cities in the U.S., and even in other nations, including India and back to the family members and friends still living in the camps in Nepal. Alta Mesa Church engaged Nexus, a church planting consulting organization, to serve as the initial coordinating organization, providing the church planting leader, Takan Krishna Darji, with leader care services, assessment, training, coaching, mentoring, and community, as well as assisting Alta Mesa Church and the IBC board with fundraising. In 2010, after receiving a positive recommendation from a team of church planting assessors, Tonka and Krishna were hired full-time to lead the church plant effort. On January 23, 2011, Emmanuel Bhutanese Church, IBC for short, was launched with a grand opening assembly. Over 300 attended the worship service, which included gospel singing by well-known Nepali singer Karna Das. IBC currently averages 30 to 40 at the Sunday morning worship assembly and a contribution of $30 to $40. In addition, there have been over 40 baptisms since 2008. IBC continues an active ministry to the Bhutanese community. The many activities include the celebration of birth of many babies, providing comfort during death with condolence services, zoo trips, a favorite with children and adults alike, Christmas programs that share the story of God's only Son coming to earth, a discipleship Bible school with 10 days of 2-hour-per-day instruction, resulting in 25 students being awarded graduation certificates, welcoming new families and introducing them to neighborhood needs for food, clothing, and basic household items for their first nearly bare apartment, help with doctor, dentist, and hospital appointments and translation, helping them use the new Neighborhood Needs Community Center office computers, copiers, fax for job searches and applications, and the Neighborhood Needs Community Center allowing them to plant and care for their own garden bed to grow food for their family, and helping them to start a sewing business for additional income using Neighborhood Needs donated supplies and reconditioned sewing machines. Another key step was taken when Nexus's Phil Claycomb recommended, and Alta Mesa Church's leadership agreed, to establish a governing board for IBC. The IBC board, under the oversight of Alta Mesa Church elders, would be for the purpose of ongoing accountability and determining consensus for the direction of IBC, raising outside funding, and promoting the broader outreach and mission activities. The board has the following goals: to guide the Emmanuel Bhutanese Church to become a contextual, culturally appropriate, self-supporting, and reproducing community of faith in such a manner that brings honor to the Lord Jesus Christ. The new church shall appropriately and respectfully proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ so as to call lost people into the eternal kind of life, helping them become fully devout followers of Christ, leading them to engage in the process of being conformed to the image of Christ through interaction with others and ultimately for the sake of others. To help, where possible, effectively reach out with the gospel to other Bhutanese Nepali communities in the DFW area, across the USA, and the world. In May of 2011, the board was established with 5 of the 7 total desired seats filled. An operating budget has been established and funded for 2011. A preliminary budget for 2012 has been set. A 501c3 nonprofit certification has been applied for. There is an ongoing opportunity to help minister to the Bhutanese refugees in DFW and other cities. The most needed areas include help with language skills, life skills such as car care and cooking nutrition, youth sports including soccer and introductions to American sports, donating household items, and helping support their sewing business with the purchase of fitted shirts, zipper repairs, alterations, and tote bags for gifts. However, the IBC board has prepared this informational video to ask for your help in 2 specific ways: securing the funds needed for IBC's 2012 expenses and filling the 2 remaining board seats. The IBC budget for 2012 is $84,900. This allows the following ongoing operations to continue. We are asking individuals, organizations, and area churches to join us in contributing the $84,900 for 2012. The IBC board is accepting nominations for the 2 remaining open board seats. The following are the current IBC board. 1 is from the Gulf Course Road Church of Christ, Midland, Texas, and 4 from Alta Mesa Church. Joe Crabtree, chair of Gulf Course Road Church Plant Ministry, Dr. Billy Eden, Alta Mesa Church of Christ elder, Melissa Hunter, Dr. Tyson Browning, Clint Browning, current board chairperson. Those who consent to serve on the board will be blessed with an association with some beautiful, kind, loving, and hardworking Bhutanese people, some of which are brothers and sisters in Christ. Also, you'll be able to help partner in the future spread of the gospel, among them locally and across America, and potentially even back to those relatives and friends yet to leave the camps in Nepal. Will you please pray for our mission opportunity? Will you also prayerfully consider this appeal for 2012 funding and board seats? Please bring this request to the attention of those individuals, foundations, and churches planning their 2012 contributions and budgets. We welcome your contact for additional information or to arrange to meet for further discussions. God bless and thank you.